program you will host say you be encourage mo amohwe yen dani de nyina Saturday no pe bia say amanyosem ene amemu no oka ho enye president enye minister enye MP nkoa ene yese amanyosem no o involve ne ho ba obi bia o hwe me ene the purpose of this program ne say ye be encourage mu na mo hu masede yese moye as Ghanaians, as citizens, dear na yeshwe free mu ewa amanyosim mu ewa amemu na ye introduce your guest Mr. Otu or your development analyst and ye be share the coming of the Europeans. We are aware that we were colonized by the British, and even before then we had our chiefs who were as in the political heads of the various communities. Africa as a continent has not always been the compacted Africa that we know. Now we have as in boundaries, but what we know in history is that Africa used not to have boundaries. We were different groups of people with our political overlords. And then you share the coming of the Europeans. Europe for by ye himself mobile say omuni ebedidwa ebi won so say Europe for no omo ba Africa say omo di nyamesom ba ha nanso nyamesom ni edwadie mu ehun say emre bi ba ya omo be di yen mine. So today we want to look at the reasons for the coming of the Europeans. What were some of the reasons for the coming of the Europeans?
Thank you very much again, and a very good morning to your cherished listeners. So basically what we learn from books, or what history has already told us, is that the basic underlying reason was trade. The Europeans had come to a stage whereby their food production had become in surplus, and by way of the industrial boom or the industrial revolution that had already started in Europe, they needed a place to actually sell off the excess goods that they had, and they were also in search of new things. And so that is how come they actually set out to the world, to discover the world, to find out whether what was happening at the other side of the world. And so the basic underlying principle for which the Europeans actually set out from their nations or their states was to trade, to look for new trading routes, to look for people that they could actually sell the surplus of their products to. It must also be said that when these trade routes had actually been, some way, somehow institutionalized, or had been cut out so clear, the missionaries also took it upon themselves to actually also get involved in such voyages. And so as the commercial people or those who were involved in trade were coming, you also found out that missionaries took advantage of some of these routes to also, reach these new areas, so that they could also share the message of the gospel to those people that the traders had come into contact with. Okay,
so can you tell our viewers some of the Europeans that came to the shores of Africa? I know that, yes, Ghana, the British came, but then before the coming of the British, we are aware that some Europeans came in the guise of trading with us, as you have already said.
And so when you from history books again and from accounts, you could find out that, yes, the Portuguese came. You have the Danish, the Danes also come in. You had those from the Belgium. They also came. You have the French. And so when you look at Africa, all our colonial masters, in a way, tell us the story of the kind of Europeans that our forefathers actually came into contact with.
Okay, so you have said Ashafo Amoshe ye Kasafa, the coming of the Europeans. And him say maybe by history of this nation, this Ghana, what was known as the Gold Coast, we were colonized by the British. But ye pesi ye before omube di ye maisono a day na day omoba or mine Gold Coast neso ana ye ne ye guest no aka ho asem o se trade omo ba se omo ni ye bedidwa ene impo ye nim se nkofo ko amamai so yenso ye ko amai so ekodidwa enti European abrofui IF ebi ne Portugal for ebi mu free Portugal ebi mu free England United Kingdom ebi mu free France and ebi mu so free Denmark ebi mu so free Germany ne baaye omo nyina baaye se omo bedidwa omo bedi edwadie mu ana ebi mu so baa se omo ede Christosum eba yemaisu. But I want to ask from what you are saying that they came to trade, what kind of goods did they come and trade in? Okay. Yes.
Intimate say inti yina yebenhu se okono na oma start say omo ye ntoma oma start say omo whiskey eni ade e na oma start say omo produce guns near the gunpowder ene sa niema no inti ebra omo baye no na sa niema no na ekrom cotton money sa whiskey scotch ne sa niema gunpowder ne jewelry
they brought cotton whiskey gunpowder gun to us ana yenso die na ye de mom
yenso na niema ye wo no yen gold ne yen niema precious minerals na ye wo inti all kind history books obecha was na omo engage bibia e friend of barter trade because na yenti omo kasa na omo so enti ye kasa enti omo de omo niema no eba beto ho nti omo de ye niema ne beto ho a na omo so omako tete na yenso ya eden yenso yehu so omo efiri ho na yenso niema ye wo no ye de abeto ho ye de beto ho so na ya fa ni omo de ba ye no na yenso ye ko no omo so abefa ye gold ne ye precious minerals ye de to ho mom no no so it is a barter system no na e course so echi na ye ni omo ankasa ebedi nkita ho che say face to face we started actually interacting with them.
Okay. Yeah. Per se we want to boil down, bring the coming of the Europeans to Ghana. We have looked at the broader picture of coming to Africa. In Ghana, who were the first, as in Europeans, to hit the shores of Ghana, and which year and where did they settle when they came?
Okay, inti I think say first Europeans are nimno the Portuguese omo baye into omo obaye no so no bebia omo a touchy base. The first point of actually meeting or coming into contact with the Ghanaian soil was actually Elmina. Now Elmina no na etrese the mine. Elmina, Elmina, the mine sana.
Okasa yumukwa no say Eurofoni biba omo ba so omo ni ebedidwa. Na ye de gold mom. And omo de cotton e mayen. Nti misusu say ho no na omo de edi Elmina ne ema ekuro Elmina na yenim
Elmina nti Elmina na eche say the mine omo ba ye no na eche say ye gold na ebuso ha eja omo ho no ense de ni ho sa nti omo beto sa ade ne say gold di de eche say ye ehu ya hemfo ne eche say ye bibia ye de ebuso ha omo ni je ho nti sa enijie na mu na omuma omudisi omo Elmina Castle inde oko Elmina esihoi na castles no musi se onkomo ba oho no meden ombetna no mode omoniema omudifi amanone ba omudi esie they also made sure that the things that they also got from us, they also will store them there and they will house their personnel over there so that they will continue to trade. There will be a point of reference. Whatever they get from here, they store it until their ships are ready to sail back to Europe. They will be able to fill their ships with these goods. Okay. So that is how come that castle was established. So the Portuguese were the first to actually come to Ghana.
Ashafo amoshenye wo fie ene ye kasa fa the coming of the Europeans ho na ya hwe say Europe from omo free omo di kan bag Ghana ha near friend Gold Coast eye Portuguese for no mo ba ha no omo sue wo baby aye friend no Elmina no eye din a Portugal for na ya fan say Portuguese for ne de to or minus because no omo gold eye very popular ewe Elmina no mo mine gold nti omo ba ye no mo dwadie mu no gold na ye man for no mo Elmina no omo ne abrofri ya Portuguese for edidi dwa ya pese ye won foni bi video bi ya pese mo hwe na ebema yen atiase ne ye kan coming of the Europeans so ye won foni bi a ye pese ye ko ne ye ko hwe.
In the middle of the 15th century, Central and Southern Africa is still unknown to Europe. However, for centuries, the Arabs operated trade routes crossing the vast Sahara Desert, transporting to the Mediterranean gold, ivory, and slaves. Europe is more interested in profitable trade routes from Asia, especially the import of silk and spices. But the expansion of the Ottoman Empire threatens these networks. Furthermore, the kingdoms of the Iberian Peninsula set their sights on discovering new sea routes to Asia to corner the lucrative markets. Portugal takes the lead by inventing the caravel, a lightweight, versatile vessel allowing it to accelerate exploration of the African coast. The country establishes maritime trading posts as an alternative to overland trade routes, especially to capture the highly profitable slave trade. In 1498, Vasco da Gama reaches India. Portugal rapidly grows in power in the Indian Ocean and dominates the spice trade. The country grows rich and faces no competition from the Spanish Empire as the two reach an agreement to define their zones of influence as per the Treaty of Tordesillas. Spain therefore focuses on the American continent. In 1580, the King of Spain takes control of Portugal to form the Iberian Union. The new maritime power, the Netherlands, takes advantage of the situation to seize Portuguese colonies. Portugal finally regains its independence and tries to regain control of businesses in Africa. But the country now faces competition from new European powers settling along the African coast. The situation then remains relatively stable for centuries, with each country managing its own trade routes. Slave trade becomes the most profitable business. European ships buy slaves in Africa, whom they exchange in America for gold and local products such as sugar and coffee. From the mid-18th century, anti-slavery movements gain momentum in Europe and gradually lead to a fall in human trafficking and slavery. In the US, a project to repatriate freed slaves to Africa gets underway. A colony is established, allowing the return of thousands of former slaves. Although there are conflicts with indigenous populations, Liberia becomes independent in 1847. A few years later, France and Egypt inaugurate the Suez Canal, opening a new, shorter sea route to Asia. In the African colonies, interest turns towards trying to gain arable land in order to grow agricultural products primarily for European markets. While exploring the land, colonists discover the continent is rich in resources, stirring the appetite of European powers in the midst of industrial development. Tensions flare because of competition between European nations. In 1884, a conference is held in Berlin to regulate colonization. King Leopold II of Belgium gets personal possession of a large, little-known area in the heart of the continent. Germany, Spain and Italy seize territories, while the UK receives Egypt. Henceforth, countries can stake claim to any land they physically occupy. European nations, boosted by their superior military technology, engage in a race for control of the largest possible territory at the expense of local kingdoms and empires. In most cases, land is stolen and redistributed to European settlers. Indigenous people are subject to taxes but have no money to pay them, so they find themselves working in the fields or in mines, which become a form of forced labor. Italy, which controls Eritrea and Somalia, fails to conquer the empire of Abyssinia, which gains international recognition as a sovereign nation. After the discovery of diamonds and gold in the south of the continent, the British Empire expands to take over the states of Transvaal and Orange, both of which were founded by the Boers, mainly descendants of Dutch settlers who fled following the arrival of the British. In 1908, King Leopold II cedes Congo to Belgium. 2 years later, after long negotiations, southern British colonies of the continent gained independence, forming the Union of South Africa. The new country remains linked to the British Empire by becoming a dominion, ceding certain powers to the British Crown. During World War I, hundreds of thousands of men from the colonies are sent to European and African front lines. The United Kingdom, France, Belgium and South Africa take over the German colonies. At the end of the war, a separatist revolution breaks out in Egypt. The UK is forced to recognize the end of its protectorate status, but the country retains control of the Suez Canal by maintaining a military presence. In 1935, fascist Italy again tries to conquer Abyssinia. This time, the Italian army is successful in gradually seizing territories, but Abyssinia would never sign an armistice. World War II breaks out in Europe, and again, hundreds of thousands of Africans are involved in fighting on different fronts. Italy, allied with Nazi Germany, loses its colonies on the continent. At the end of World War II, Abyssinia becomes Ethiopia and regains its sovereignty. Talks are held at the United Nations to discuss the future of other Italian colonies. With European nations weakened by war, the United States leans in. Fearing the rise of the Soviet Union and communism in the world, the country supports the independence of colonies and their admission to the United Nations. When an insurrection breaks out in Madagascar against French occupiers, it is brutally suppressed. Italy eventually gets control of Somalia for another 10 years, while Libya becomes independent. Kenya also begins an anti-colonial uprising that would last 8 years and result in many civilian victims. In 1952, the Egyptian army overthrows the monarchy and begins anti-colonial policies. On the one hand, the country makes contact with the Soviet Union to provide arms. On the other, it provides military support to aid Algerian nationalists against the French occupation. Egypt also claims control of Sudan and nationalizes the Suez Canal, chasing away the French and the British. In response, they combine with Israel to organize a surprise attack on Egypt. The offensive is a success, but is stopped after the USSR's threat of nuclear war. The US then steps in and orders an end to the offensive. The event marks the end of the British and French domination on the continent. Aware of losing their grip on power, France and the UK try to moderate their policy and maintain influence on the continent. Britain supports the independence of Sudan to prevent the country coming under Egyptian control. The same year, France, which is mired in war in Algeria, recognizes the independence of Morocco and Tunisia to avoid the spread of violence. The UK is ready to recognize the independence of its colonies, in some cases if the new governments join the Commonwealth, an intergovernmental organization headed by the British Crown. France, for its part, tries to set up a Franco-African community. All colonies accept the proposal with the exception of Guinea, which then gains independence. In 1960, a new wave of colonies gaining independence ends this project. France withdraws but maintains economic control over the region with the CFA franc currencies.
Welcome back. If you just join us, this is the Governance and Political Digest, and we are having a discussion on the coming of the Europeans. And we just took a short break to have a look at a documentary we have on the coming of the Europeans. And we have been discussing with our guest, Mr. Otu, who is a development expert, on the reasons for the coming of the Europeans. Ashafo motion with a higher Governance and Political Digest now, and then you can for colonization. But before you delve into the discussion, you perceive who Europeans no omu free omu memu bae na ye ne ye guest no ahwetwe nkomo na ye hu say omu ba ha purposely to come and trade na Europeans no omu di dwa e wo omu memu dada enti omu na omu hwehwe new avenues a omu betimi a trade omu goods and as ye fa ne say omu hwehwe new avenues a omu bedi won dwa no eno na de omu ba ebibre mu ha na ye discussion ne ko Ghana ana ne ye discuss omo ba ebibre mu ha Ghana ha first ye hu say Portugal for no ene ba Elmina in the year 1471 na omo ba ye no omo ba so mu be trade with us na edwadiem no omo de omo gunpowder omo de omo gun omo de omo whiskey ye friend gin ene cotton eba na omo de aba besesa ye gold any maybe by slaves and so it's a person I did come and call partition of Africa. Yenim say Europe they came to scramble for Africa. We asked ourselves, why did they scramble for Africa? It means that there was something in Africa that maybe we the Africans hadn't realized, because in our discussion I realized that even with our barter trade they brought cotton, gunpowder, gin for our gold, for our cocoa, and then they give us these things, and in my view I think they were of lesser quality or inferior to what we gave them. So I want to ask, what led to the scramble for Africa, and then what is the scramble for Africa? Because we were in our country and then someone from nowhere just comes to come and dominate you politically and economically. What led to the scramble for Africa?
Okay, thank you very much. So we must understand, say, Nyankopon yishira ebibimai. Ebibimai inshira no yebetumi aka say ye wo bibia ebetumi ama abrabo ayefe ye wo niema bi ti say timber, ye wo gold, ye wo diamonds, ye wo oil, ye wo duane ahodo bebre. So we are blessed with raw materials. I was say meka nso say un say meka say na the industrial revolution no now started in Europe. Now industry a bit take up and I say there is a need for raw materials. Where were they going to get these consistent and sustainable raw materials from? They were going to come from Africa. Internet Africa there was no way they were going to let Africans go just like that. And ebedu mribi na mankasa just Africa bibi mai afano, but no mankasa so no omo yede omo kon. So there was a lot of confusion, a lot of misunderstanding among these Europeans. And the man who kwanya omoku miti ewo Berlin, Germany, Omaimu. So when they went to meet, they went to actually decide to share Africa amongst themselves and to create artificial boundaries for themselves, so that they can have peace among themselves, not peace amongst Africans, but peace among themselves.
Okay. And see, what you are trying to say is industrial revolution, any intokwa na ekoso Europe man among themselves. And I shall form here Africa say no ye say oh Africa intokwa na change of government, military takeover nene. And maybe a trip na Europe man they also went through that stage. And now who say so a quiet almost fast say the solution to the internal wrangling in the continent of Europe ne say any baba Africa no ma ba beche Africa amomo because now you already be say more some kind of status be, because in Europe no the number of colonies are one and nature say who to me and answer who power, and they say if we are talking about the great powers or the great seven you from G7 say G7 first na G8 say G7 na sika ne de ka ba maybe a trim na colonies my who timidi on so politically wutimi di won so eno na no mo de echire to me e wo man mu enti omo ba Africa say ne omo beche Africa amai no mama yen artificial boundaries me can wo me introduction beginning of the program say first ma Africa ni any boundary ni any continent bi kwa na ye friend no Africa send ya demarcating is say no na ye mamu we were in groups all right but abrofo no Europe for ni free omo mamu ba ye man su no e ba ye ya sase su no ana omo che amamai no omo de boundaries sano na ntokwa na no omo ko amongst themselves no etimi abewie. It's a person you call back to what we were discussing with our guests, or say now for political role and economic role, no more pay raw materials for renting. Say, you find say Gold Coast, Britain for there. That means every raw material free Gold Coast no. A call Britain call boamu mine tumpon. Now you person you show say, you share bibi wahasi. That means say the Europeans they saw something valuable and today we want to let our viewers know that we as Africans, as Ghanaians, we have something here, as you have already mentioned. We have natural resources. So what is the bane of Africa?
This question dear, it's a is a question that you can say answer maybe taking the whole week and I say the whole month for us to, because even as researchers you know we have so many perspectives that we can look at it from but near me person me can say me person me refer your viewers into research work be a research be a researcher be a friend Asemoglo or true book be watuni den why nations fail and now only na down for be a friend Robinson or much research be research needing so the comparative origins of development now a hono hwehwe mo ye nu ekohun say time Europeans never Africa no baby wo ho a omo tnae ejiomo but baby wo ho omo tnae anjiomo. So when you look at nations in the tropics like those of us on the west coast you realize that the disease environment actually did not help these Europeans and so they were dying in their thousands. Soldiers were dying, missionaries were dying and all that. And so in these nations they established what we call extractive institutions. And so extractive institution patches yako hona bibi omo bibi papa no mo no yenko hontem yenko nya nya ye pentem na yemfiri hontem esan say yenko for de ewu has yentumi entna ha. But in countries where they found the environment favorable, they actually determined to live there. Into Ushe baby to say South Africa, it was because the climatic conditions and the environmental conditions were favorable to them. West no. They decided to actually live there and establish institutions that were similar to the institutions back in Europe. Now, okay, research paper now, or making reference to countries like Australia, any New Zealand, now, Otumu said these countries, they were established by ex-convicts in Britain. You two almost among now, if Sanko for you two almost among countries, they demanded that the British authorities, they demanded that they establish the same rules and the same institutions and the same rights in Britain, in these countries. In the institutions, authority, rules and regulations, and the rights and privileges are not British citizens. Enjoy what Britain no. Not as ex-convicts no. We are also British citizens. We are also entitled to these rights and privileges. Essentially, Britain emasa or a system now or more practice or Great Britain no. Fa echo Australia, and so in these countries they also established the same systems. But over Africa, say system na omo establish here no extractive in nature. Okwa anya ne obenya ntem na ye den na pay obi bi ko. So that is what they did. And once they established these extractive institutions, no, you also realize after independence na ye yen ho ye nya ye fa ho die ne ade no, leaders no mo ba ye no nso no. Omo be hu say hey sanya ade eye den because system na abrofo no edit to ho no, it was extractive. So if you have come and you see that the system is extractive in nature, also you will continue with their same extractive into the man
that term binya dia wo pese wunya ntem neko. It is more like make me use word be exploitative. Omo ba say omo be boa yen man. Omo ba say omo ba be nya bibi afri ha.
Exactly.
But the omo pese omunya no so omo establish omo political domination over the nation. They were not going to, because omo ba yen no na ye nya say yeti ha keke na ye ti aye ni any embia na ye wo ahemfo omo di oman so a ya man move for no omo ti omo. It is a person who be fire in your money. Then they needed to exert some political role over the people. And it's now share Africa fire now or be establish or more political role over us. And yes, I know. Their work can also say after independence, leaders are omoji independence, and subsequent leaders or mabano, they have to toe the same line.
Exactly.
As in fadia who pese wunya neko.
In term because it's a system, no. The British did not actually come to Ghana to come and develop Ghana or to make Ghana like Britain. No, even though you bet to me abomo abaso kakrebi e wonem marketing kitibia omo but they did not actually establish institutions, critical and significant institutions that were to help Ghana become like Britain. It is a send your
New Zealand,
Australia, there ex-convicts, ex-convicts called what they demanded that kind of system that was in Great Britain.
This is something I must admit your point on the extractive as in reasons why they came. You have drawn my attention to as in what actually is happening to us, because we would you would ask yourself the question you asked yourself now: why is Africa where Africa why are we where we are? And then it's more like a precedent was set, and then any subsequent leader or any leader that takes over the reins of government goes or toe that line. And I think it's about time that we, the populace or the citizen, Mra Base, I say who say, I don't make can show you so say, or be free or man be a mu and bambe boy, and our count and they say the British or the Europeans, they didn't come to Africa to come and develop Africa as some of us thought. They came for what they needed, and then in doing that, they had to establish their political rule over us. Indeed, there were some positive outcomes. But then if we consider the negative outcomes, then it dawns on us that we, the Africans, or we Ghanaians, we are the ones that would help to develop our nation. And then how can we help develop our nation or advance when we come to understand what political, as in what it means to do politics and what it means to govern a nation. And when we come to understand the role of our elected leaders and the role of we, the electorate, not so.
No.
Okay. Pacho, we want to bring our discussion to the impact of colonization in Ghana and Africa as a whole. I know that there were some negative impacts and positive impacts. So I say, colonization, you say, it will front a babedi minus so. And yeah, maybe in be free mobile. We had positive and negative, and you perceive share both aspects of the impact of the coming of the Europeans to Africa and the Gold Coast, now Ghana.
So when we look holistically, when we take a holistic view on the whole impact now, positively, no, you bet me who say in Yaman kakra baby and missionaries no mobile say you know to miss schools and near they see hospitals young governors, British governors are there, Gadgetsberg, Money, Alambans, McLean, Money, mobile in and even a constitution, rules and regulations, or mind you to me, I then it so, and they try to set up one or two things. Send it to me a boom mine, and so we can talk about roads. They did well to build roads, even the railway lines. The railway lines were specifically built to actually convey the cocoa and the manganese and all this.
Everything was exploited.
So everything, they did everything to benefit them.
Yeah.
Railway lines near it was because they had to convey all these resources to the shores to be conveyed to Europe. Even though railway lines later on near there. So these are some of the things, and they trained some of us say enunema ebimuko amanoniko suya die Kwame Nkrumah nomine JB Dan kwamunyina say akukosa ne pagra omunyina ekwamanoni ekosuya die na omon enam so ema omu tumi etumi bio meni say there be yin tumi enhye British for asset sir I was say they started talking about independence and all that. So I think that there have been some positives in terms of education, in terms of health, in terms of even because of their raw materials that they needed, you know, cocoa farmers, investment in cocoa, even the gold, mining of gold and all that. I think there have been some positives. But generally, look to me, say the negatives to outweigh in my view no to me outweigh the positives, but after independence no we were given the opportunity say you say British for Intina we had so many problems. After independence, we had so much opportunity to prove to the world.
It's been over 60 years since we gained independence. And
to prove to the world that, as Nkrumah said, that the black man is capable of managing his own affairs. After 60 years on, can we still blame the British?
No.
Say, Omo, Enna, Amma, Africa, and I say Ghana. Anye Ghana, I will say Eyana. So these are some of the questions that we need to. But I will say you before I make Makase, because they also established extractive institutions, institutions that were exploitative in nature. No, young carry on with that system. So system no come Britain no, establish that system, similar system.
Now establish it in New Zealand, Australia.
Exactly.
Because New Zealand, Australia.
Exactly.
Very developed nations by all standards.
Exactly.
It's also colonies now because everything they did was extractive, you know. And a very negative as in view about governance. It's left a negative legacy for us, in my view.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that on that as a researcher, no, in terms of development, I think that for me that is key, and that is one negative thing because a cast a slur on all the things that they did. Once you are not able to put in the structures and the frameworks that will actually propel the country to a certain level or make the country move forward and develop on its own without any human interference, no, and no, and also but yes, and they established institutions that will favor them and that will actually take the resources of Africa out of Africa into Europe to benefit them. That was one negative thing now.
But negative no na yes you share positive now I can say education so met me say language and yet here trip na yeka English no so boy am I call international front na it's me didra it's me interact we are able to participate in the global space. And now one other thing, so I'm person me train I dream per se in terms of judiciary setup near executive, we had a legal regime. I must say no in Africa hano your common law countries near what civil law. In the Oshama French for ni di almost no omu use civil law in their dispensation of justice. And oma Britain and our British for no English for no no yes so you call common law. And you call common law now a judge made law. Into the judge ne canon na say a law. Na civil law no the omuko books nim law books no matter what is the law no. And no mudi so. Into yesha education legal regimes aboyen but yesha say yesha positive yesha negative way no so say they left a negative legacy. And see ye per se yesha there were documentary be for nibi and from one of the experts in governance, a documentary is an interview actually. So we would want to go and have a look about what his views are on the impact of colonization in Africa. We will be back.
Welcome to AfriMind. Today we're having a conversation with Dr. Julius Agbo. He's an economist and he's also a research fellow at the Brookings Institution, which is a think tank based in Washington, D.C. Dr. Julius has done a lot of work on colonialism and the impact of colonialism of African economies. So we're going to talk a lot about that. And then we're going to move back to his country, Cameroon, and talk about the economic situation in Cameroon. And then finally, we're going to end with a conversation on the future of the CFA franc. So thank you once again and welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much for being with us today, Julius.
It's my pleasure.
So you've done a lot of research on colonialism and the impact of colonialism on African economies. So I guess the question I have is what have you found? Let's start with that.
So thank you once more for the privilege to speak on this program. My research endeavor has been around understanding the long-term determinants of economic growth, how institutions evolve over time, what determines them. And I guess a crucial factor comes in, which becomes the heritage of colonialism, because the colonial structures have persisted today. There's a lot of evidence that persisted up to date. So
can you give some examples?
The languages, for example. Most of the African countries have come to use the languages of the colonial masters. They have used the legal regimes put in place by the colonial masters. The Anglo-Saxon countries follow the common law, while the French-speaking former French colonies follow the French civil law.
So if you can give some tangible sort of specific examples.
For example, in my project, I brought the role of human capital. The way the colonial powers administered education was significantly different. The British had a more pragmatic educational system that did not alienate Africans from their traditional societies. In that sense, we come to understand why the post-colonial elite that governed former British colonies were in a sense more nationalistic than the post-colonial elite that governed the former French colonies, where the pattern of education administered during the colonial times, in the former French colonies, tended to isolate the elite from their country, from their own countrymen. It taught them to think more in terms of idealism. They became more Frenchified, and up to date is difficult to get real nationalism in the French former colonies. And this, I trace it to be the causes, some of the offsprings, the offshoots of coloniality, the colonial heritage.
So I guess, so the next question leading up to that is, so now we know almost to some extent some of the factors that brought us here today. What about tomorrow? What are the policy implications of researching about the...
So basically, by knowing that now, so for example, in the French-speaking former French former colonies in Africa, which are mainly struggling with issues of social capital. They have difficulty. Collective action is difficult in those countries, even when they are struggling in front of situations that they do not agree with, but they don't. It's difficult for them to rally people all together around a common cause. So now that we know the source of this, the implication for that would be that they will need to embrace different systems of education, maybe reform their educational programs to allow people to learn things that matter for them. You know, instead of primary, secondary students in French-speaking countries studying the French philosophers and the Greek philosophers of age, this time they start studying about the ancestors, what they did, who were the great men of their societies. This is what I found strange, that in the French-speaking region, they never taught us Cameroon history. We learned all about British history, European history, and we never learned about Cameroon history, which is again an offshoot of the French system of education, which tended only to teach people about things that are abstract to them. You know, so an important policy implication is that they need to reform, especially in countries that are struggling with collective action problems, or the difficulty in building social capital. Education, the educational system may be part of the problem. How do you reform the educational system to train people to learn to be one another, to learn to care about what is around them, not what is far away?
You look at countries like the CFA franc zone, where a lot of the countries have their currencies linked to France and the euro, and you look at a lot of countries that are receiving foreign aid from the West. So the question is, how free are African countries? And I think even particularly France.
Like that's right. That's like right. The question of
French colonies.
The question of the independence of some African countries has come under debate frequently. Well, you see, independence should be understood from many perspectives. So total independence. It would be difficult to actually quantify and define. But if we look at it from different perspectives, maybe political independence, and you say, okay, maybe to some degrees, like when the British left, they let you do your business. Even when you called them, they didn't answer. But when the French left, it tended from colonialism to another form, to neo-colonialism. They put in place structures where the new elite that came to govern the former French colonies actually depended on its survival from the French. They actually entered into agreement post-independence with the French to protect their power, and that's where the military accords came into place that have not yet been completely abrogated. There are still military accords in former French colonies that allow France to put its military bases in those countries, and I suspect that those military accords were to protect the power of this elite, because this elite knew that they didn't have the support of the masses behind them, so they needed an external power to form of legitimize their role, and we've seen that continue today in countries that have not have a smooth democratic transition, where elections are flawed, but there's nothing the masses can do because there's a foreign power that makes sure that the kleptocratic elite does not leave power.
So you mentioned a situation where the masses are not used to the educational system, and there are systems in place that sort of do not promote sort of mass movements.
That's why,
You say the elite is sort of being protected.
That's why.
What's the future? When are particularly Francophone African countries
so the future is in education. How do you create that critical mass? How do you bring up people to the state that they can think and agree on a common cause? Education has a greater role to play, and I'm happy that the international community, the United Nations systems, has been putting its emphasis on getting people, educating people, and even the United States government has recently been laid emphasis on how you build that civil society, you know, organizations, give people education, train them to be liberal, more liberal in their mindset, and to learn to associate. This is what is not, I think this is what colonialism in some parts of Africa was very detrimental, because it made the African become the enemy of himself. You know, the African was the enemy of himself through the slave trade. People became scared and worried. They never trusted one another, because you never knew who was going to sell you out to, you know, that kind of. So education would go a long way to promote common ideas, will go a long way to promote the idea that we all belong together, and we need to, you need to survive on the basis of what I do. So collective action will come through education. It's going to be a long process. It's not something that we should see in the next 5 years. A change is going to be generations of constant building until we get to that critical mass. That kind of critical mass you saw goes to in Egypt, that went out and stood on the streets for countless number of days until they got what they wanted. That's it takes time to build that.
Yeah. I think one of the issues people might, have when they hear about people researching or going into colonialism is sort of like a blame shift.
That's right.
To what extent, I think, is the responsibility of African economies strictly on the shoulders of Africans themselves? And to what extent are we still blaming colonialism for lots of the problems that really are not,
that's right,
are really at the fault of the leaders today?
That's right. And I think, and this is where it's important to probably highlight some of the benefits of colonialism. Colonialism helped to foster urbanization in Africa. We should not forget that. Urbanization was one of the major products of colonialism, and with urbanization we now agree that when you have large centers of knowledge, it becomes more easier to produce goods, because we can exchange and learn new ideas, and we'll get closer to the technological frontier. So urbanization has been one of the major offshoots of colonialism. Also improvement in technology, because now diseases that used to kill people have been almost eradicated, by the advent of technology that the colonizers brought. Then there's also something, these ones have been highlighted more often, but what has not been particularly mentioned is the importance of the monetary arrangements that the French system brought, the French colonialism. This I'm still to find records where people have given credit to that. This is actually where we should give merit, that the French did put in place a very beneficial monetary system for its former colonies, which they have been using up to now, the CFA franc currency board. That has been a very important product of colonialism, and it has been beneficial because it has enabled these countries to maintain stable inflation, without which it's difficult to plan for the future. Now the responsibility is on African leaders to make sure that you open your barriers, you make markets free, you remove the non-tariff barriers, remove things like administrative bottleneck, red tape, and ensure corruption is brought underneath. These are the things that will make the benefits of having such an efficient monetary arrangement. You gain more by eliminating corruption, red tape, and all those non-tariff barriers that make it difficult for people to trade. So colonialism, French colonialism in particular, has been very, very important and instrumental by bringing in place an efficient and a trustworthy monetary system in the former French colonies.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Back from the break. If you just tuned in, this is the Governance and Political Digest show, and before the break we were having a look about the impact of colonization in Africa and in Ghana, and we have realized that one of the positive impacts is the introduction of education and the introduction of a legal regime for Ghana. Say higher Apam TV na Jumaidie no ye governance and political digest. Na ye guest no twetwe nkomo bi afa colonization ho ne hu sunsanso. So ye hu say colonization ne mom say amboa ye there, but ye sha aboa ye in terms of our education, in terms of our health infrastructure, any road infrastructure. Aboa ye wo kwan bebre so amboa ye in terms of the legacy it left for us as Africans. And then ye person ye dey enkomodie no eba current affairs say happen in Ghana, current issues pertaining in Ghana, and ye person ye twetwe nkomo fa attempted coup and then week ye twemu ye te say krofo bi omo make arrangements say nka omo person omutu oman no Mama Penny free Negwaso. We want to talk about coup d'etat, Mr. Otu. The attempted coup on the presidency. Before resuming into the discussion, we want to know what a coup d'etat is. Yeka coup. You say you're finding out from our guest. What is coup d'etat?
Medasi bebre. Enti say yeka say coup and I say coup d'etat. And one say oman biano there is a legally constituted government. The citizens have actually ceded their power to a certain political party. Say, na come and assume the helm of affairs and govern that country. Inti sa inshishemu na yekosa line na yekoto aba na wesi matwa mawe na yenko yembra no obiewini na obiewini na echese ya swear sa nipakro no in as president and then a vice ni na also forming a government omubu man no na omubu man na say obi ewo baby. It could be the military, it could be a political faction, or it could be some kind of incophobia omu baby omu fi say abato na ye koto ma onipa say umbidi yesono no onhwe man no one ne nyaadwen nti oyeden or topple over that government and that's seize the power that we the people have actually ceded to this political party or this person to govern us or topple that system now. That is what we call a coup d'etat. Inti oyisa constituted government na yen yama ho kwan say mra ama ho kwan say ombedi yeso no oyisa nipa kro no enne na ban efi ho na ono abehye ho efi say onisa mpa kro no enya adwen ana say senya nipa kro no ebu man no ana say sa government no mu bu man no omoni nje ho it will they are toppling over the government to actually assume the helm of affairs and answer to take over power and their friend coup d'etat.
Okay. Now person busa say coup ya kan say me Africa happen na coup like ye to say bia obi person to oman no because one omanpani na na say amemu na ekoso no enye ne desta enye sa amemu no na no hwehwe. Is it only in Africa that we have this issue of coup d'etats taking place?
Oh, all over the world, since the inception of the political class. We've had instances where coups have been, organized or coups have taken place all over the world. Inti enye African kwa anase Ghana kwa na coup d'etat no aiden esipen. That all over the world, there have been governments which have been toppled over by the military. There have been even military governments that have also been toppled over by some section of the same military. All over the world, but what has happened in other places, they found the solutions to this coup d'etat early. To me, na Africa mum and esan say to me in the chrono and over time na say coup d'etat a course wa na say na ase so aba from kakra but emre entwe mu bebre no na coup d'etat there be a course of Africa. That's how come Africa has been known as an unstable continent full of conflicts and full of, strife and a friction, a dorsal because of some of these instances.
In your explanation, you mentioned that some of these countries have found a solution to curb coup d'etat. What was the solution, and can we bring it to Ghana, or we already have it, or probably we are not practicing it, or we are not utilizing it?
First of all, no, me about institutions, no. Say why your system be to ho? System be to ho obi this system a good system obi nim say we dey eni ko baby a was ye pese ye ko. If anybody comes to interfere with that system, and obi biaro or pese or pese otia mra kwan so anase on pese eniema ebefa ne kwan so no system nankasa ewo ways and means of actually bringing that person to order. Into ushe developed countries you bet be bisa ho say after all these events while Germany, countries like Poland, Russia, now these countries are they've had military insurrections here and there. Why is it that Germany, as we sit now, is a stable country? They put in place systems and mechanisms that will prevent things like this. And of course, they love their country. It's a question now, after all these institutions, these frameworks, these systems, you be put it in place, making sure, say, once the system is interfered, the system will be able to correct itself. No. When all is said and done, it be before you do, it be Mayana.
It's a legitimate question. Do you have a love for your nation? Do you love Ghana? And are you prepared to stand up to defend the Constitution? A question and to amount say, oh, don't mining in such a way and not to the extent, sir, oh, you're ready to lay down your life for. Because you share a man now or more develop here, we go to take inspiration from no. Or dobi more mine, but Ghana high, and I share ye my more. Me busa me who say, do we have love for our nation? Are we patriotic and are we prepared to do all it as in go to every extent to defend the Constitution and to uphold the name of Ghana in high esteem?
In the British, the British love England. They love their country. When you talk to Germans, they love their country.
China.
When you go to China, when you go to South Korea, they love their country. After the Korean War, everything was at ground zero.
Yeah.
But because of the love they have for their country, look at South Korea now. When you speak to Americans, they are crazy about America. Upon a NMACC killing of the assassination of their president and all that, they still love their country up to today. Into big Bissau who say, yes, we can put in the right policies, put in strategic policies that can develop the country, that can create a system whereby there will be checks and balance. And this before Becca said probity and accountability. Where all these things will be put in place. But at the end of the day, we bet me said it be before ye do be Mayana. Do Ghanaians love Ghana? To say ye bet say ye do Ghana, would we allow foreigners to come and take advantage of us? And now say inyama ye benya enimeni mi entino. We will allow a foreigner to come and exploit this country so that the lot of the masters will continue to suffer. Is that what we want?
Is that what we want?
Would the Chinese allow a foreigner to come and exploit China? Would South Koreans allow a foreigner into their country to come and exploit the land of South Korea? Would Germans allow foreigners to come and exploit them? It would never happen. The question we should begin to ask ourselves is, do we love this land? Time and again, our attitude has always been say nyamenyenti. So that then I go back to the same principle. Without thinking about posterity, without thinking about those who come after us, without thinking about the generations that are not yet born. Inti nia obenyenti oyenentem yomoka nansi time omde by kpakpakpa mamenya no kpakpakpa na mpe bibi hye me ho na menko. But governance, politics, and building a nation, it goes beyond that.
Enya de ubenye di nko a. Say your dream chima. Say your dream chima ho ani apese ye hwe. Ene kudita ya yesinka doctor de nim say doctor de o sorry empanye na o na o diagnose disease na o pe o draw prescription more de co pharmacy but na dey at say doctor episode 2 man my person you call back in time. This is not the first time I had to say for plot say umbetu or mine. We want to go back in time. We've heard or we've had successful coup d'etats. Coup d'etats are fame as a nation before yetimi ba democracy ya practice.
Nti ye hwa abakosema nyina ye bekan that time no na yenwo me but from Enema Yakan it was 1966 that was when Ghana recorded its first coup d'etat. Kotoka enumne ade Ankara General Ankara enumne ade topple over the Nkrumah government. Inti Omotopo Nkrumah government, so I think they established the National Liberation Council. International Liberation Council, no, 1972. And that time na Buzia
ni PP progressive.
Yeah, PP4 near there. And now also also. And also no for a champon more a topo Buzia more. With the National Redemption Council, later by years the Supreme Military Council. I think say at that time, still a lot of people were concerned about the stability of the country. One military faction has toppled over a legally constituted government, which was the Nkrumah government. Mobile and so no, most say Nkrumah ye say. Yeah. Mobile and also those things or the problems that the citizenry were crying about, the problems that was practically visible to the ordinary Ghanaian were still there.
We want to go back in time to look at certain successful coups. Yes, luckily this one has not been successful, but we want to go back in time and have a look at some successful coup d'etats that have occurred in the country.
Inti senior na year came 1966 na 1960 na Ghana became a republic. You started say ye then ye buman yi man yi koso Nkrumah na edimu akotene. He was the president and the leader of the state. Inti or by and so or maybe he started with this industrialization concept of Ghana. And before Ghana before the industrialization we had to have a sustainable source of power. Into Akosombo Dam, all these things started to produce power to power our industries. But some way somehow politically others also felt say he was not running the country the way he had to run the country. The introduction of policies like the Prevention Detention Act, his political opponents were being imprisoned without trial and all that. And the people felt aggrieved. A lot also went into exile. And you realize, 1966, General Ankara near Nkrumah was not actually running the country when they toppled him.
Before we I just want to put the phone in number. If you are watching us, this is a governance and political digest, and we are having a discussion on the attempted coup d'etat or overthrow of the presidency. If you have any contributions, say who contribution be a person make here, bet me a friend. And the question I busa ya chef one say, is it possible to have a coup d'etat in Ghana now? Is it possible? And she said, oh, contribution be a bet me a friend or a home truthful so 0248 377 373 0248 377 373. Enya coup d'etat no kwa so say wo contribution wo nyoma ye discussed before topic we so abetimi afre I make you contribution. Let's get back to the discussion.
Yeah. Enti no motopo government if anything Nkrumah government. You accused Nkrumah of a lot of things, and so you also seized power, and that was the National Liberation Council. After the National Liberation Council, the Omo Ewa Bemu Kakrana, Omo handing over power to civilian rule, into Dr. Buzia and Beye head of state. Dr. Buzia Beye head of state, Mase, the same military, Omo Topo Nkrumah, they felt aggrieved.
Yes, also the alliance compliance or dabaya ya pamu ma ye free say no mo mreso na nyo Buzia mreso na ye pamu Nigeria for mo call back to their country.
Yeah. And the introduction of austerity measures and all that. I think that people were basically suffering, and the military also felt there. And at any time, I don't know why the military feel that they have the capability to run a state. Handling defense and defending a nation.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning. Hello. Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning. I had a governance and political digest show.
What's it there?
And Pacho, you are to come more after coup d'etat.
Pacho, dear station.
I Apam TV.
Demuisi had coup to me abana.
Pacho ayen.
Pacho, umbaga na ne, embaga no tram. Your friend Auntie Susie.
Auntie Susie.
Choco. Dear Akufado, ya dear, and yet, I mean, you are a woman, mania.
Let's go back.
So you must understand that.
Hello, good morning. Pacho, hi Apam TV program near governance and political digest. Yeah, Busa say, is it possible to have a coup d'etat in Ghana? Do you have any contribution on that?
Indeed, I was saying Buzia Abaye and so no. There were accusations of corruption in Yamanyama, austerity measures. People were basically suffering, and the military felt that they could actually, come and fix things and make things better. Into Achampong, being led by 4 military personnel near there, they toppled over the Buzia government in 72. Amufi said, "Ombutumiaye, Nyema, Operation Feed Yourself, Achampong near there, and they buy." But when they came, they couldn't fix the problem. The problem was still persistent. From these two even coup d'etats, who say coup d'etat is not the solution to the problems of this country. When there is a legally constituted government, the people have ceded their power to that party. Say, we want you to come and run the affairs of the state. They should be allowed to actually run the affairs of the state.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. This is a governance and political digest on Apam TV.
Yeah, my name is Livingston, and I'm calling from Kwabena.
Livingston, may we hear you?
Please. For me, coup d'etat can happen anytime, despite whatsoever use being do the coup d'etat. Moreover, I have problem with NDC saying kitchen knife can be, even pillow or needle can use for coup d'etat.
Yes.
Can be used for coup d'etat anytime. And these days too, a lot of corruption that is happening within the country. The scandals are too many. And that can easily lead us to coup d'etat.
So Livingstone,
And moreover, the people involved, some of them are military men, and they have all the capacity or whatsoever they can use. They have the ability to do that.
all right.
So what we need to do right now is to what? Have solution to that, then deal with them for the citizens.
Let's go back. So Livingston is basically saying that we would come back to that aspect of the discussion, that this is not something that we should take lightly, the attempt. No matter what, even if it's a kitchen knife, anything can be used to topple the government. So let's go back to what we were discussing.
Inti Achampo Mokra, Achampo Mokra, no, they had internal wranglings. He was forced to resign. Emma Ekufu Ebeteki over. Onosubeteki over. No, things were still getting harder for the Ghanaian people. People were still suffering, and the consumables were difficult to come by. The junior officers at that time, they also felt that our senior officers are just exactly they are not doing what they said they would do, and the country is still, you know, getting worse and worse by the day. So they also toppled over the Supreme Military Council, and that was led by our own former president, His Excellency Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings. Inti utumi who say over time, military coup has not actually helped the Ghanaian state or the Ghanaian people. It actually draws us back. Inti utumi say omaino etu mpon kakra no, once there is a coup,
there's a break in
the governance process. And once there's a break in the governance process, you realize that everything comes to ground zero. And you now have to actually start building again. Indeed, for all these years, you know, from 1966 to 1982, we had successions of coup d'etat. No? It was a difficult time for this country. It was really, really a difficult time for this country. But I also want to say, sir, credit should be given to His Excellency, the former President Jerry John Rawlings. After 1982, Ghana actually became stable.
Yeah.
Even though he also came in by coup, no, and was say, man, a credit kakra say, from that time we didn't experience any coup d'etat again, and so he actually brought stability to the governance process until 1992, when, you know, constitutionally, you know, he actually came in to stand in for to be elected as president of this country. So we must give him credit for that. Say, at least for the 19 years that he was in power, no, he actually brought stability to this country.
Okay. So we have gone back into time to look at what some successful coup d'etat. So today we've also heard, and actually there's hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. We've also heard that there's been an attempt on to topple this current government, and then some security analysts have actually said that hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, please, this is Apan TV, and the program is Governance and Political Digest.
Yeah, my name is Nana Kwame.
Nana Kwame, may we hear you?
Okay, so hello.
Hello, yes, Nana Kwame, you are live on air. May we hear you?
Okay, what I want to say is we have a very porous media at the moment in the country.
All right.
And their focus now is on either NPP or NDC, and they are neglecting the national issues. And they are doing this to attract more followers to their stations or their TV or whatever media this thing that they are operating. So it's very important that everyone rise up and then get them to know that we are not so much into NPP or NDC.
Yes. Nana Kwame.
We are so much into the roads that are needed to be fixed.
Exactly.
We are so much into the problems at our hospitals, at the corruption with the police, and a whole bunch of issues.
Yes.
when you turn on your radio station or your TV set in the morning on Monday, the host that they have there is either a communicator of an NDC party or an SDP party. And
Nana
I can't
Kwame,
imagine why they'll be asking them issues that they don't even have idea of. I don't know how.
Nana Kwame, that is why we have this program. And if you've realized, we are talking about issues of national interest.
Yeah.
Yes, that is why the Governors and Political Digest is here every Saturday on APAN TV.
I appreciate so much what you're doing.
So we can appreciate your sentiments, and then we are going to bring a new twist to governance and politics in this country, Nana Kwame.
Okay, thanks very much for what you're doing, though.
We are grateful for your contribution, Nana Kwame.
Thank you. Bye.
Let's go back to the discussion.
Yeah, so you see, we play too much as a country, and we take things for granted.
At its face value.
Yeah, exactly. And because of social media, and you realize that people just say what they want, and without having any idea.
Don't you think people say what they want because the people that we've elected also come and tell us what they want to tell us?
Yes and no, but you see, I think that we need to be careful as a country, especially, and I'm speaking to the young ones, those of us who are always on social media. When it comes to security, and when it comes to, let me say, even crime, these are sensitive issues.
Exactly.
Issues that must be handled by experts. Issues that people who are well vested in security ought to speak about. Not people who don't know anything about security. Security.
Yes, not to cut you, because you realize that the information minister came out to say that they've been studying these people for about 15 months now. So if they come out to put out this sensitive issue that borders on our security or the security of the nation in general, then I think it's something that needs critical attention. Yes, and we've had communicators from the both sides of the political divide saying a whole lot of things, and we have the opposition of this the opposition party, the major political opposition party, saying that the devices that were found in the custody of the Citadel Hospital is something that cannot even overthrow a chief of a nation, and it leaves much to be desired, because we know that circumstantially we don't just use one piece of evidence to pieces and bits of evidence come together to make a whole. So you can't speak to something that you do not know. As you were saying, we need experts to speak to this situation. So this threat to our nation is something that we need to take a critical look at, in my opinion.
Yeah. Inti was a sheni na yesheseni kasa any senia and issues ba apa ye count asem. You see, we have allowed politics to eat into every fabric of society.
Education, health, everything.
And yeah, sometimes share microphobia sabi omo ka some issues be ba abnormal omo jimu akotene omo ka ho asema odwu ho kra onti ase odwu ho ka obisa ho se na we nso kra efi because we are not allowing the people who have been trained, who have the requisite knowledge and the requisite skill to actually speak to these issues. But ubia keke na ye ka ho asem ubia keke na you see, when it comes to security, I will say you take your time. We need to sit back and reflect on whatever has been happening, what is happening, and what is about to happen. Even having an intent to topple over a government is a big deal. Having the intent to topple over a government is a big deal. So it is not just mere. It's not just about even the weapons. Having the thought and having people who agree with your intention and your thought is a big deal. Indeed, say weapons. I don't know. In the best interest of the nation, Ebiana security for no money say you display our weapons here, maybe it's good practice or whatever. No me display weapons we na say if people who should know better and people who should have this country at heart can just get up and say anything because of political points in tea. You can just say anything, then I think that we have a long way to go.
We have a long way to
We have a long way to go.
That is why this program is also here to just synthesize each other and educate ourselves that the best interest of the nation should be should be supreme. It should override any other interest, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yes, and then just to bring our discussion on this point to an end, the best means to change a government is through elections.
Exactly.
And by the grace of God, in this nation, we've been practicing democracy for 27 years now. Since 1992. We've had stable government and we've had successful change of government, and indeed we are the pride of the African continent in the region. Yes, so we need to maintain and defend this peace that we are enjoying as a nation. And believe me, if there should be a military takeover in this nation, we wouldn't have life as normal as it seems. So we shouldn't take this issue at face value. And I want to just send out a message to us, the viewers, that the best way to change a government is through elections. If you are not happy with the government, if you are not happy with the president, with the member of parliament, whoever it is that is in power, the person was elected. So far as the person wasn't appointed and was elected, the best means is that you can patiently, if you are voicing out your grievances and they are not taking it as into consideration and they are not doing nothing about it, then the best means is that when election is due, you change the government through election. We want to move on to the local government sector. We are aware that on December 17th this year, there's going to be elections to elect district assembly members, elect assembly members, and then also there will be a referendum. And then we want to bring our discussion on the elections that is going to be held on 17th December 2019. That we really want to look at it's from this direction that what the ordinary citizens should know about the 2017, as in December 2017 election. And we are in this country and we know we have a municipal chief executive, we have a metropolitan chief executive, and we have district chief executives. And then this is an initiative of the ruling government that it used to be that these people were appointed, but now they want to elect them just as members of parliament are elected. We want to know, is it, as in, there's been several discussions, but do you think it's the right way to go? Election of these MMDCs. Yapesi yɛhwɛ ene ababeto just say December 17th this year yɛkɔ to aba yɛkɔ referendum say election appointment of municipal chief executive, metropolitan chief executive, any district chief executive. See yɛkɔ to aba as a constitution, you know. Article 55 clause 3 Emma Quine say ye be electi or na Emma Quine say political parties ebe support your mono. Ye koto abani assistance clause no na ekwan aba ana akwenya abemu say en fitisa da na kono say ye referendum no yenya 75% of the people present and voting no voting yes sir. And ye fitisa amre ne kono MMDC is na aban bia ba so appointing no fiti samre ne kono ye be election e den na esi ye hu fasa ho machinery.
First of all, no, we must understand the principles behind local governance.
Yes.
And why local governance is important. Now, in terms of public policy, you must understand that there are two streams where decision making as it relates to development happens. And so we can talk about the top-down approach and the bottom-up approach. Now, the top-down approach is whereby you have a central government, and the central government actually takes decisions at the top. And those decisions are supposed to be enforced as you move from the top down. And so those at the bottom do not actually have a say or do not make inputs into the decisions that are being made at the top. And so it flows from the top downwards. So the central government decides that this is what we want to do, this is how we want to carry things out, and everything is from the top. Then you have another system where you have the bottom-up approach. And so it is those at the bottom, those who live in the communities, those who live in the localities, who are actually making decisions as it relates to development.
So that is the whole idea about local government.
Exactly. And so those people actually take decisions and say that, listen, this is what we need in our community. This is a road that is important to us. We want it done. Those of us who live here, we need a hospital here. We need a school here. This is how we want things to be done. And so they actually make input into the policy making process. And so before the central government actually decides that, listen, this is what I want to do, those at the bottom would have actually made inputs into the national structure and say, so the central government doesn't come out to determine what they want to do, but actually they take inputs from those at the grassroots. And so the principle of local governance has actually in the circles of public policy making has actually been seen to be very effective all over the world, where the communities or the people who are actually living in those localities, take part in the decision making process as it relates to development. And so in Ghana, that is why we have the district assemblies, the metropolitan and the municipal assemblies. Now, these assemblies are within the catchment, are within those within their catchment areas, and they are supposed to supervise, or they are supposed to actually oversee development in those areas.
So, because the local government exists, more or less the central government is not directly responsible for development in our local municipalities. Is that what you're saying? That if we have a properly functioning local government system in place, then development in these localities comes directly from the local government.
Yes. So technically, that is what is supposed to happen.
But is that what is happening?
Exactly. That is what is supposed to happen. It is because we have allowed. You see, the powers of the president are too much.
Too much.
The powers of the president are too much, and so that is why you've seen certain political activists who are advocating that certain powers of the president must actually be cut off. And so you have a system where the local assembly, the MMDCs, are supposed to oversee development in their jurisdiction. And so because they live there, they meet the people on daily basis, and through the unit committees, the town hall meetings, the chiefs and the chiefs and the assemblymen and all that, they actually know what the people need.
Exactly.
So why should we have the central government appointing a director general or a DCE or an MMDCE for that locality? It is the people who must actually vote for someone whom they've seen fit to actually oversee development in that area. But then again, you also understand that the funds for development also come from the central government. The district assembly common fund, it is government who is actually funding it, because the IGF, the internal generated fund that this MMDC actually rely on, is virtually or woefully inadequate. And so if somebody is giving you money to actually develop your community, then that person also has the power to appoint whosoever must also oversee the distribution of those funds.
You see, any say beto abana you have a referendum. You say no. What is a referendum? And a DNC na say on 17th December 2019 no mobile out ebe vote for a yes or no, because say Michelle Okasayemu and say on church akoye say local government say they bad the level of voting That means local people, no, or the people in the locality, no, participation in whatever in whatever decision they need to make. Now, quite say, send your team voting for constituencies, members of parliament, no, you be voting ama your DC and as MC and as say metropolitan chief executives, no. Say referendum no cost so senior ye share say bekoso na and now buy also share say bekona. That means say from hence no there will be elections to elect these people, and what will be the benefits for them to come out in their numbers to vote on that day.
Okay. Inti I was say say referendum no bibia in law no say we want the people to either come out to agree or disagree to a certain direction and now say or kwan bia aban no or person or yeden or faso inti it is a UK for ya omo year referendum for omo Brexit on person move European Union mu and now say move European Union mu. Now when it becomes when you want to actually gather support from the environment, from the citizenry, then you organize a referendum so that the people themselves will decide. Now, to say abain bia onu ewo ni baby microphone 3 and microphone 4 bia komutria boom say even though there's parliament, but if those people have majority in parliament, that means that they can also have their way. But but in the interest of the state and for the better good and for posterity, you want to organize a referendum so that the people can actually take part in the decision-making process and say that, listen, this is the way we want things to go, or this is how we want things to be done. In the election of MMDC, because
you support say yenye referendum no to amend that provision now. A limited political party participation in.
Exactly. We have allowed, you see, Yama partisan politics are eating into so many aspects of our national life. Yes, sir. If we are going to allow politics again at the local level, then it is the same thing we are doing. But we should actually avoid these things at the local level. We need people who will come out with a proposal to develop our communities, a proposal that will actually sit well with us, so that yaka say osimesi omo betumi aye edwuma no, so that we don't vote, because if we vote on party lines, that means that if that area party say we na ye person ojina, even if that person is not capable or that person does not have the requisite skill, at the end of the day, because he belongs to party A or party B, we end up voting for that party and nothing gets done. We must move beyond the politics of the day. We must move beyond that at the local level. Let the election of the MMDCs be a standpoint whereby future generation can come and say that, listen, this thing that we did, it was for the betterment of our localities. They will come in, so that you see, when you don't come in as a political person, but you don't come with a political color. Now, when you come in as an individual and you are not doing well, next 4 years, the people themselves will see what you've done, look at what you proposed, and say that, listen, whether you did well or you didn't do well, and they'll vote you out. So, are you
saying that, in other words, this amendment is not necessary? Yes, the election is necessary, but then it shouldn't be done on party lines.
It shouldn't be done on party lines. Okay. You see, what has, at the national level, look at what is happening between MPP and NDC. Do we want the same thing to happen at the local level? When roads must be fixed, when water and light must get to our homes, are we waiting for what is happening at the national level, whether we don't know whether we are going to the left?
You are anticipating a situation where what is happening at the national level when it comes to the election of the president and then members of parliament is going to play out at the district level.
Exactly. You see, Elections is not just about going to cast.
So you are for the election, but you are not for the as in the party line basis.
Exactly.
But then in this country, we cannot as in downplay the fact that we have two major political parties that run shifts when it comes to.
But you see, the danger is that when you allow the voting on partisan lines, you are still going to have the trickle effect of no direction at the national level going to happen at the local level. Because if it is NDC that is in power and you have your DCE being an NDC man, he's the boss in town because his party is in power. You understand? And the same problems we encounter at the national level.
So what is the solution then?
That is why I'm saying that, you see, let individuals be voted for on non-partisan lines.
Basis.
We need individuals who can do the work. Individuals who will show us a proposal that, listen, this is where I want to take the constituency to. This is where I want to take my area to. I want to see development in the next 5 years. This is the plan that I have. So that people will see reason in the plan and not in the party.
In the party. So we should move away from this is my party, but
exactly.
look as the individual. Into your kotoaba, your say be MPP, NDC, PPP. But your individual, no, the
Odeba, ne skill, ne competence, Odeba, proposal, planner, Odeba. So that we don't vote on the, because it is NDC, I'm voting for NDC. Because it is MPP, I am voting for MPP. No, we have to move away from that. What is the proposal that the person is bringing on board? What is his 5-year development plan? How does he want to see this area in the next 10 years? In the next 5 years? How does he want to develop this area in terms of education, in terms of healthcare, in terms of our roads, in terms of business and all that? You understand? So we need to move away from that.
Exactly.
Because at the national level, we don't know whether we are going to the left or we are going to the right.
National policy.
Exactly.
It's a political party policy.
Exactly.
You would say the flag bearer or the candidate policy. We don't have a national policy as it is, as it were. But if we should have a national policy, then we know that when it comes to education, so that one government bank and secondary school education 3 years. The next time 4 years.
Yeah.
We should have certainty when it comes to our governance.
Exactly.
Okay. And to say what share ya and ya should be for Europeans they are coming into Africa. Any colonization impacted the bar Ghana. Yes, your sensor should be for coup d'etat. Any near say yay amemufuano yafa yay. Yeah, we need to take the governance of this nation seriously, and we need to have love, show patriotism, become patriots as it is. Yes, also share MMDC election. Say yes, in fact, election there ne kwaiswano no. Ebeboa amaye movie from the partisan nature of our politics. It is say on 17th of December 2019 your best rest obia beko out no wetimi akọ no akọ vote but who voting so that is not the end of it. Say election be bad shenipa no candidate the policy guideline or community no constituency no no policy guideline no neko vote and we not to say you be moving away from the whole MPP NDC kind of politics, no, the nature of our politics in Ghana, no, and boying, I say you shen nipano, nisu, and then the policy guideline or day ban, and then I say a day governance and political digest dream medina, honey, a this year. Now, before we leave, I would want to acknowledge my guest, Mr. Curtis Kuku Otu. He is a development and policy analyst. Say ene ya to ya safre no one pupuniti na one ya ba bedi ene dwumedie no Mr. Curtis said that was pa. And we also want to acknowledge our technical producer Mr. Aki. se otena mfidie n'echi no chinchin ma dwumedie yetimi de bramo ye pese me san so da ya hwefo ase se da ni de nyina Saturday anope bia otena wo mfidie omo friends so ye pese ye da mase se da ni de nyina se me kada se dwumedie se muni ho a eni ho munti na ye di dwumedie ebramo. I would also want to thank my stylist, my makeup artist, Classic Touch. Omo ana omo ma mi ti fefefe ni mi makeup omo na omo boa me e ma mi ti mi e ba show yi so me pese me da mahwefo ase ni obi bi oboa ma adwumedie ye de brem me din di Josephine Echa Adwamena ye nhia next week e wo Apam TV so bye bye.